There are lots of beautiful websites on the internet, but there is this one website that is just different from all the others. And no, it is not some crazy 3D website to showcase weird environments. It is a website that sells sauce. You heard me right. I'm talking about Mama Joy's Peppa Hot Sauce. Just look at this website. This looks like a playground for web dev crack addicts. Now in this video, we are not going to try to build this whole website, but just a small feature of it. And that is this ellipse. But there is a catch. Instead of just writing normal text in the ellipse, we will make this Peppa sauce text go round in the ellipse. Because why not? So let's get started. This is a prototype that I made to test things out. The GitHub repo is available in the description. So the basic thing is that we have two ellipses. We can import them as SVG in our React app. Inside this ellipse, we need to place the individual letters and they should also be facing the center. That means we have to worry about their rotation and also their position. Rotation is simple. You just define the angle of the letter and make it rotate using some basic CSS. The angle theta can be measured from either side. Then we also need to leave a gap between each letter. Let's say that we roughly leave about 12 degrees of gap between each letter. Now, how do we position the letters? Well, we will treat each letter as a separate div. Now let us focus on how we overlay one div on top of another div. So I have two ellipses here and I want the bottom ellipse to overlay with the top one. So I will make the top one as relative and the bottom one as absolute. This will ensure that we can set the position of the inner div anywhere with respect to the relative one. So after doing that, I overlaid a dot on my ellipse. Now I am going to use them as points of reference. I know the coordinates of the center of the ellipse, so I mark all the 4 points of reference. Now let us make each individual letter as a div. I have made an array of 9 letters which stores the letter and its angle. I will be updating this array inside the next letter function in useEffect. I will define an initial angle of 30 degrees for the starting letter. Then we will be incrementing that angle by 12 degrees for every letter so that they are spread out evenly and they are rendering quite nicely. So we will be iterating through the letter array and create a div for each of the letters with their character. But the problem is we need to define the position of each div. So how do we do that? So for that we are going to use the parametric coordinates of the ellipse. Now what are the parametric coordinates of the ellipse? As you can see here in Desmos, if we have an ellipse, then any coordinate can be represented in terms of a cos theta, b sin theta. So as we have already defined theta, we will put that as a value in our x and y translation using CSS. So as you change the theta, the coordinates of the point will be changing according to the theta and we will be using that information. So we are traversing the array of letters and then we are defining their x and y coordinates using their angle and writing the letter inside the div. We already know the center of the ellipse, so we can shift the origin and follow this exact formula to get the position of a particular point on the ellipse. We finally got the letters rendered on the ellipse, but they look misaligned. So let us fix the rotation first. The rotation needs to happen with reference to the 90-degree frame, as the letter will be rotated by 0 degrees at the top of the ellipse. Now we need to make the size of each div equal. All of this is important for the final alignment. But the size of the div changes dynamically on the basis of the character we write in it. So how do we make every div equal? We just define a custom width and height for each div and make it a flex container. And that will ensure that each div is of the same size. And then we can center the letters using justify center. Okay, now let us finally fix the alignment. We can see that we need to push each character a bit inside if the angle is between 90 and 180 degrees. So we will apply an offset with the condition and push it to the top and left with the offset that is dependent on the angle. So the closer it is to 180 degrees, the more it gets pushed inside because it is more outside. Now it looks like this. Okay, this looks much better than before, but we still need to tune the offset a bit more. Okay, now let us match the style with the original ellipse from the Mama Joy's website. Now we have written the tag 2 times inside of the ellipse, and in this code we have an offset for all the 4 quadrants so that all the letters are mostly aligned with each other and they can also travel in roughly the same ellipse equation. Now all we have to do is rotate it. We have to rotate each character as I scroll. So how do we do that? I have a scroll function written. The final piece of the puzzle is to divide the scroll amount by some value and add it to the angle of each letter. So when you scroll down, every letter gets displaced by the amount you scroll down, and it will follow the path of an ellipse as your coordinates are defined using the parametric coordinates of the ellipse. Here is what the final result looks like. We can still smoothen the animation, but I am really glad with this result, and it was really fun to code this up using just maths and nothing else. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.